Hey everybody, it's Ann Kaplan from Mom Me, your mama resource from conception to college. Wherever you are on your momming journey, we are here for you. And this week, the theme in the group has been neatness, or as I like to call it, bless this mess. And we've been talking all week long about how to shift our mindset about neatness and messiness. And our really what it comes down to when we're talking about neatness and order is our need for control or the illusion of control. And I'm not going to beat a dead horse. We've already talked about that in terms of parenting. And yesterday we talked about that in terms of birthing and birth plans and pregnancy and all of that stuff. What I want to talk about today, it's Thursday, it's my baby mama day. I want to talk about how to. This is my day where I actually give you tips and tricks to implement that you can do right this minute to make some change in your life, in your mama world. So let's talk about this when it comes to neatness. What are my biggest tips for you to get some semblance of order and neatness and organization in your life, in your home, all of that stuff when we have kids? And you know me, I have 4 children, 4 to 14. I never really thought about how easy it would be for me to say my kids' ages when I spaced my last one 10 years after my first. But it's really easy. It's always going to be 4 and 14, 5 and 15, 6 and 16. 4 kids, ages 4 to 14. My life is totally busy and full, and there's lots of logistics and all of that stuff. But if you know me, you will know that my house is usually pretty organized, and it's definitely not perfect. I lowered that standard a long, long time ago. But it's definitely not crazy pandemonium, utter chaos, garbage dump, pack rat, none of that stuff. So let me tell you guys the things that I have learned to make it possible for me to have a livable life with 4 children in a fairly, not small, but it's definitely not bigger than what we need, that's for sure, home. And my kids have school uniforms we have to keep a track of. It can be crazy if I let it. So the first thing I want to tell you, tips for success when it comes to keeping your life neat and orderly and your home neat and orderly: delegate. We put on ourselves as moms that we are in charge of everything in this house. And if you have said even once in your life, I better do it or else it's never going to get done, or if you're telling me that you haven't said that, you're lying, because we all have said that before. If I don't do it, it's never going to get done. Guys, that is the best way to put yourself in a cage of always having to do everything. Because guess what? You're not the only one who's learning to believe that. Everybody in your family, everyone in your home is learning to believe that too. And the longer that you keep going on doing everything, not delegating, not telling people that it's too much for you, the more everyone in your family is going to learn to expect that that's how things work around here. So when I say delegate, what do I mean? I mean, first of all, delegate to your kids. My 4-year-old has chores. He has to put away all the silverware every time we wash the dishes. He has to organize, he has to straighten all the rugs in the house when they get wrinkly. Sky has jobs, and he's had jobs for a long time. My kids start with chores when they're 2 years old. And I definitely try to invent something that I think is going to be actually helpful for me, for them to actually do, like putting away silverware is very helpful, but also obviously picking things that are correct and age appropriate. And we talked about that during chores week, and I'm sure we'll talk about it again. But my point is, delegate to your kids. Your kids are members of your family. They're part. Your family should be having a team vibe, or at least striving to have a team vibe. And part of being in a team is everybody has to pitch in. So delegate to your kids. Second delegation, delegate to your partner. Guess what, guys? Unless you've married a huge sociopath, or unless you're co-parenting with a sociopath, if you don't do something when it comes to parenting stuff, it will get done. It won't get done to your standards. It won't get done the exact same way that you would have done it yourself, but it will get done. So when you say, I have to do it or it's never going to get done, that might be true about certain things, like, I don't know, buying a Halloween costume or something like that. But it's not true about the big, most important things, like your kids' safety, getting them fed, all of those things. So why don't you experiment with taking a step back and letting your partner take over sometimes, okay? So delegate to your partner. And the last thing about delegating, outsource. Whether it's getting a cleaning lady to come in, and just because you might not be able to afford a cleaning lady doesn't mean you can't have a cleaning lady. Think about bartering. Think about trading. Or you might be thinking about bringing in things like Blue Apron and stuff like that to make cooking easier. The things that we feel like it's impossible to keep our house and our lives neat and orderly, a lot of those things can be outsourced. You certainly do not have to be the one who washes and scrubs the toilets in your home. And there's nothing about you being the one who does that that enhances the life and experience of anyone in your family. So it's totally fine for you to outsource some of the things that are just hard for you to get done. Next tip I have written down on my notes is systems. What does that mean? It means get organized. Don't just organize your space. If you want your space to stay organized and your home to stay neat and orderly, you need to organize yourself. Create morning routines, create a family schedule, create bedtime routines, create the space and weave in the space of cleaning and neatening and organizing your home as part of that system. When people start working with me, one of the first things we do is work and sit down together to figure out how to form a family weekly schedule that works for everybody. Is going to help you feel so much less out of control. And all these things that we're talking about doing are going to help alleviate your feeling of out of controlness, which is going to amazingly also lower your need for everything to be perfectly neat and orderly, which is so lovely. Because the last tip I want to give you guys is lower your standards. It's really hard to lower your standards when you feel like the only thing you have control over in this world is whether your toothbrush was put back in the exact place it belongs and the cap is on the toothpaste, right? But when you don't have this sensation of being out of control, it becomes a lot easier to lower your standards, just like we talked about on Tuesday. And one thing that sometimes I get resistance from my clients on when I talk about lowering your standards is it has this air of like defeat. Like, I give up. I can't keep up with this mess. So I give up. I surrender. I lowered my standards. I don't care anymore. But you really do care. That's not what I mean when I say lower your standards. What I mean is come up with a new definition of what success and good and okay and gold star mean for you. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect, okay? Your house does not have to look like it came from a magazine all the time. Come up with a definition of what neat and orderly looks like in your home that's actually attainable. And then you don't have to feel like such a failure or feel out of control or whatever, those guilt feelings that we put on ourselves when it's not 100% perfect, because we never set out to make it that way in the first place. So delegating a lot of that work, coming up with some systems and routines, and making a realistic expectation of what your home can look like and what you can be satisfied with is those three things come together to make a really big change in the neatness of your home. Not just actually making your home neater, but also making you happier in your home. That's actually a realistic thing that you can sustain. I love you guys so much. I hope this has been helpful for you this week. I have been having an amazing week talking about neatness and control and all that stuff. My mom was laughing her butt off at me because she knows what a crazy neat freak I used to be, and I probably still am in her mind. And so she thought it was really funny that I picked neatness as the theme for this week. But it's a big deal because it's not about neatness, just like we talked about on Tuesday. I hope you guys are having an amazing week and getting ready for the holidays if you celebrate them. And I know I'm getting ready for the holidays. My next broadcast to you will be from Michigan, where I'm going to be spending the holidays with my family. So I'm really, really excited. And I hope you guys have an amazing week, an amazing weekend. And I can't wait to talk to you guys again soon. Bye.